Okay, welcome to the United Pubcast for your latest Saturday night edition in lockdown. We have nowhere better to be here in Sydney, lockdown, but it is ideal for Sydney Man United fans this week because there's a 9:45 kickoff against Everton. Unfortunately, pre-season, but it is a good way to spend a Saturday night. So we thought we'll just kill a little bit of time before kickoff and talk a little bit of football and obviously Man United. And obviously you can't hide or you can't escape the Lionel Messi news. So as you've seen from the title, we'll sort of incorporate Messi, PSG, Paul Pogba, etc. into the discussion. And please put any comments in down below and we'll sort of read them out and get involved. Got Moyes, who we were just discussing before off air, a good mate of mine. We've had many Man United debates and discussions over the years, but it might be in a few years because since lockdown we definitely haven't met, and before that it's been a few years. So first thing, How are you?
Good, mate. Surviving like everyone in Sydney, but nothing better on a Saturday night, as you said, and even gets better with the next Saturday kickoff with the first Leeds at home, 9:45. Can't get better. However, the lockdown is a bit of a pain, but we'll get there.
Yeah, no, it is a shame that Leeds kickoff for the Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney was ideal. They would have had a big night planned, 9:30 Saturday night against obviously an opposition like Leeds. But yeah, we'll be watching individually on our couch. But yeah, that's a discussion for next week. We'll definitely be doing plenty of Leeds previews. But if you are watching the video, please leave a like on the video. And as I said, leave any comments in here for this video. And what we'll do, we'll pretty much just sort of bounce off your comments in and around the topics we have written down. But in terms of the topics, we'll get into it. We can't hide. Okay, it's a Manchester United podcast. We want to discuss Man United, but Lionel Messi, and arguably one of the greatest footballers of all time, has left Barcelona. Well, supposedly left Barcelona. There's a lot of sort of theories saying there is a back door where Barcelona can sort of reverse the decision if they receive funding from an investment group. That's obviously a long shot, but if you put your tinfoil hat on, they reckon there is that slight possibility. But the reports at the moment suggest that it is that he has agreed a deal with PSG. It'll be how PSG sort of balance their books if they need to offload players, if they need to do any dealings with Barcelona. But like we just asked, we had an Arsenal guest on last night, Moyes. I'm just asking you, in terms of cast your mind back to yesterday when you saw the news broke, just your initial feelings as a football fan.
I would say my first reaction, I think, because obviously with the time difference, the first thing, like probably everyone else, is the first thing that I do when I wake up is just scroll through my Twitter feed. And I could not believe it. I was like, okay, because I had accepted that, okay, there are like massive issues with Barcelona, but not keeping Messi was not something that I was expecting. And I think in a way, I appreciate the stance that's been made by La Liga, saying that, okay, if you don't have the funds, so be it, no matter how great he is, he can't be a player of yours. So surprising, but I still feel, until I don't see him in a PSG shirt, I still feel he is a Barcelona player. It's just too hard to believe.
Well, have you seen the issue? Because they've not only had this issue with Lionel Messi, they're having the exact same issue with their new signings in Memphis tomorrow, Sergio Aguero. And I don't want to make this about Sergio Aguero. We'll quickly skip over this, but there is quite credible news in regards to, and it's a long shot again, that his lawyers are looking into the deal to see if they potentially can see a way out of the deal because Barcelona sort of may be in conflict with the contract and unable to register him. They're looking at a back door. And so we're talking about this conspiracy of Messi going back to Barcelona. Could you see a situation where Aguero is going back to Manchester City?
That'd be hilarious. And they still they still need a striker. So if they don't get Harry Kane, I won't be surprised if Aguero.
I think that's why it is news, because it's a real possibility if that situation came about, they don't have to go and spend the 100 million on Harry Kane, or more than 100 million. But they would also have to negotiate with Jack Grealish and the number 10 shirt. But on Manchester City, we do think that Lionel Messi is PSG bound. From all reports, it looks like it could be announced quite soon. And Pep Guardiola has done his recent press conference where he has said, "Look, we're not in for him. We've given Jack Grealish number 10 shirt. Lionel Messi is the furthest thing from our mind."
Yeah.
Is there a possibility where City are in this race?
I don't think so. I honestly fear they would go all guns blazing on Harry Kane, and especially with the reports where Harry Kane hasn't turned up for training. It just feels that obviously with Pep and Messi having a strong bond, but I don't see Messi coming to England. And I think seeing him, like if you compare him and Ronaldo, I think it's a strong quote by Sir Alex Ferguson saying that Ronaldo could score a hat trick at Stoke, but Messi couldn't. And I just feel like Messi is the type of player that possibly is taking the easy route by going to PSG. And again, just with the funds, with the players that Man City is after, I don't see him going to Man City. No.
Do you think there's and I flip flop on that opinion in regards to could he cut it in the Premier League? Because one day I'll say no, he couldn't. He might really struggle, especially at his age. No, he's not the oldest player, but he's sort of getting on in years, so that's a challenge. But then I look at it and think, well, no, if he played Stoke in the Champions League, he'd score 10 goals against them. So why are we differentiating the Champions League to the Premier League type thing? But so that's a hard one. But what I want to mention in regards to, I don't want to bring Ronaldo into this debate, but you mentioned in regards to almost choosing the easy route. Can you see?
That's right.
Is this almost sad as a football fan? Because Lionel Messi is a football person. You can't not be a football person when you're one of the greatest ever played. So he's a football person. It's almost sad that he has gone to PSG, assuming he goes to PSG, because PSG, they're not a football club. They're not exactly. Ronaldo has played a big football. He's played at Real Madrid, Juventus, Manchester United. It would have been good to see one of the greatest of all time just be one club man. Do you think this, and it won't, but do you think there is a case, an argument that this takes away from his legacy if he does go to a club like PSG?
I personally don't think it will, Tom, and the reason for that is it's not. He's not going by his will. He is going because due to the circumstances. Obviously, if he was living on a free for PSG for like 500K per week, then yes, you could say. But obviously, with the circumstances that there is currently, I don't see any impact on his legacy. But yes, I mean, as you said, it is sad seeing him going to a league which is not at par as the Premier League, and it'll be a cakewalk for him. Let's be honest. In the competition,
do you think that's appealing to him? Do you think PSG obviously he's going to get paid a lot of money, and PSG won the Champions, but they're one of the favourites in the Champions League? Do you think part of the project they might be selling him is, okay, we want to win the Champions League. You can come and sort of cement your legacy by winning the Champions League with us. However, the good thing, the easy thing for you, you can prepare yourself during the French season. You don't have to play 30, 40 games a season. You can just take it easy and prepare yourself fully for the Champions League. Because as you say, look, they didn't win the French league last year, but yes, it is a cakewalk for them 9 times out of 10.
Well, I feel the only project that's selling him, Tom, is the Muller. Let's be honest, it's PSG. So in terms of the Champions League, like he wouldn't go, and obviously he is at an age where he is looking to retire, like in the next few years. So obviously for him, it's more about where's the money at, and I have accepted that people or like top players, when they reach a stage, like when they turn 30 to 35, the only clubs that they would go is either the MLS or PSG. Like you picture Sergio Ramos now. Obviously, it's not a topic, but like I would never have had imagined him leaving Real Madrid. But then like, the club that he goes to is again PSG.
Yeah, so it's an interesting. If you've seen Lionel, you never would have picked Sergio Ramos and Lionel Messi to be on the same team. So that'll be fascinating to see how that works. But before we get into just a few comments here. Evening, Rob. It was good having. He's made an Arsenal fan on the podcast last night, and also he's saying good evening. But Jamie, one of our listeners from Northern Ireland's obviously morning where he is, so he's got a nice lunchtime kickoff for United. So good day, Jamie, for watching. But before we get into the Pogba situation, because it does tie in, I want to just go back to Man United and the Messi situation. Yes, he does look. It seems pointless. Yes, he's going to PSG. Yes, he's not going to go to Manchester City. But put yourself in the United boardroom, whether it be Ed Woodward, I don't know his current role because he's obviously out the door in a few months. So just say you're a general board member at Manchester United. Has this discussion popped up? Because we say who can afford Messi, and we just say, oh, it's only PSG or City. United could afford him if they wanted. Now it probably cost too much, and it wouldn't make sense. But if United wanted to do a deal, it could get done. So could you 100%. See a situation where his name over the past 24 hours has popped up to Solskjaer and the Man United transfer sort of committee?
I'm quite certain, Tom, it would have come up. However, let's picture ourselves like under Mourinho, right? If we were where we were 2 years ago, I am quite certain we would be in concrete discussions with the Messi. However, like under Ole and just the directions that we're going under him, it would be like, okay, he's in the market, so be it. What next? Obviously, he's probably the greatest player in the world, but just the way that we are doing our transfers, like in the last 2 2 years, I just feel that it would probably be a discussion, but not much would have gone into it.
Yeah, oh no, it's just one of those ones where you'd love to be a fly on the wall because, as I say, someone would
That's
have
right.
mentioned the name,
Yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
look while a long shot, it would have been a possibility. I'm sure someone sort of got out the financial books and had a look. So, well, if this player
Yeah.
leaves, if this happens, this sponsor, blah blah blah. Because obviously, I
Yeah.
assume he's still with Adidas, so Adidas athlete sort of thing. I assume
Yep,
there's
yep,
little
yep,
things like that.
yeah.
But we will get
But
on to
again,
a
if you
topic.
have a look at it, I mean, like
Sorry, go
Ronaldo
on.
is not happy as well. So if we were after someone in that position, I wouldn't be surprised if we would have gone for Ronaldo instead of Messi, because he's. There have been reports where he's not happy as well. With obviously, Juventus didn't win anything last season, if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Oh no,
So
I'm 100% sure. There's definite
yeah,
conversations about Ronaldo. I'm sure there was probably even direct contact there, and sort of.
that's
But
right.
obviously, again, an extreme long shot and definitely not happening now,
Yeah,
I don't think. But we will move
yeah,
on to Paul Pogba, and we'll sort of maybe split
yeah,
the Pogba debate into sort of your opinions on him and the sort of the current situation pre-Messi. So we've had a bit of discussion on Twitter about that, but also
yeah,
to tie into the Lionel Messi situation. So before
yeah,
the Messi stuff, forget that didn't happen. Rewind
yeah.
24 hours. Messi's a Barcelona player. Just your current
I
thoughts on the
was
Paul Pogba situation.
I was hoping that PSG would bid for him. Like honestly, Tom, I was legitimately hoping that all right, come in and please take him away.
What
Because
do you think if he goes to PSG buy him for 50 million this year? How do you think that? And look, one day I'll wake up and agree with that opinion. Today I disagree with that opinion. But how does that help Manchester United besides 50 million? And do you think United would reinvest that into midfield? Like, how do you think that helps us this season with Paul Pogba leaving?
I genuinely hope we would reinvest that, but knowing our board, I don't know where that money would go, Tom. So if you have a look at Aston Villa, right, like they have invested that 100 million quite wisely. But again, it's at 50 million. Again, as you said, whether it's going in, like we don't know where the money would go. However, from a football perspective, I wouldn't want a player in a club who is hoping that the club does well in the last season and make a decision based off that. Now, whether it's Bruno, whether it's Pogba, whether it's Harry Maguire, I wouldn't care. I think from my perspective is this is the project in front of you. You know, what's the last thing you're hoping for? You're hoping that he signs a contract in his last year, or else you lose him on a free. Whereas if you're getting that 50 million, you could reinforce in a central defensive midfielder, which is equally important as it was getting Sancho in. Like, I'm still not confident going into the season with Scott and Fred. So I was really hoping PSG would bid for him, but obviously now with Messi coming in, I don't see PSG. Well, look, it can be a blessing in disguise. Maybe Pogba now signs an extension. Who knows?
Well, what do you see with that in terms of looking? He won't sign a deal now. I don't think he will wait till the end of the season. Even if he makes his decision now, I think it makes financial sense for him to make that decision at the end of the season, whether it's away from the club or with even
Yeah,
at United. He can come to United technically as a free transfer or as a
that's
free
right.
agent and say, "Look, here, I've got no club. What are you going to pay
But
me?"
again, that's the thing, right, Tom? If we go in, if we're hoping for him to sign like in his last year, or if we do sign him on a free transfer, I would expect him to get paid like more than 400,000 a week, which I don't think he's
Yeah.
worthy of that. Like it would be a Sanchez situation. So we would go back to square one. We would go back to where we started 2 years ago. And obviously with the changes in the culture, in the recruitment, I feel we would go back to square one where we are valuing the player more than we are valuing the club.
Your angle there, and which I completely agree. And again, this is an opinion with Paul Pogba, which I flip sort of daily. Your angle there, which you go in there, which you don't want to play who's not fully committed to the club. You think might as well just get rid of
Yeah.
them and get the money and see what happens. But then my counter argument, the way I feel against that, which I agree in parts, but the sort of counter argument is that, well, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a non-committed Paul Pogba or a fully committed Fred? Like, well, what do you think? What's the ceiling of the fully
A
committed
fully
Fred
committed Fred.
and
A
the
fully committed
non-committed
Fred.
Pogba? Like in terms of the ability of a footballer, like because
I think.
I see he's played without Paul Pogba and think, oh my god, we've
Yeah,
got absolutely no one in midfield. So
that's right, Tom.
that
But
scares me.
I think like over the last 4 years, I think he joined us in 2016, 2017, if I'm not wrong. I think he's the sort of player, and this is just my opinion. If Paul Pogba would be the best player in a knockout competition, I don't see him I can't remember a season with him being fit for the whole season. Like there hasn't been a single season where he's played all games for us. And yes, he's been great for France. And I personally feel the reason for that is he is fully committed to a competition that lasts for only 10 games. Like he would be my first player if a competition would last only for 10 games. However, expecting him to give in his 100% for 35 to 40 games, I don't see him doing that, Tom. And that's just based on evidence. I haven't seen him put in 100% performance every game. The only game that I feel he made himself worth was the game against Man City away.
Well, that wasn't even 90 minutes. That was 45 minutes.
Oh, was it? Well, there you go. And I feel
no,
the
it was
reason
just the second half. Paul Pogba was probably the worst part of the pitch in the first half. It was only that second half. But...
And there's a reason for that. I personally feel, and the reason for that is he possibly, I mean, I think had we lost that game, City would have won the league.
Yeah, on that day, yeah.
So that was his incentive.
Yeah, I know.
Like, this is my opinion.
And there was that story he hasn't
proved. Exactly, and I don't see he's proved himself enough to be a Man United legend or to extend his contract. If we were to get 50 million in his last season, like with us, go for it, 100%. But obviously, like Ole is a massive fan of him, so there you go.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, just some of the comments here. George has said sort of a barely committed Pogba for me, which is what I have agreed with and you disagree with. But then I see it written down in text and I think, well, no, I disagree with it. So it is a hard one, especially a big fan of Scott McTominay, which I am. I can see Scott McTominay more advanced in that role. In regards to the Fred and Pogba debate, Alex has said neither of us will win the title.
100%.
Rob has gone Pogba for him, and Alex again for I'd rather a true box-to-box midfielder like Goretzka. Well, it looks like Goretzka is like any Bayern Munich and German player has used Man United for a new contract, and fair play to him. So I don't see anything in that one. But just before we move on to the Everton match, just a little bit on Pogba and the Messi situation. We sort of alluded to it at the start. But can we almost, and there's no doubt we will be having a Paul Pogba discussion tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But is there almost no chance of him leaving now? Is he a Manchester United player now because Messi has gone to PSG?
I've agreed. I think I totally agree, Tom. I don't see him leaving this summer, and probably next summer. Depends on how well we do. Again, if we win a league or if we win a trophy, I feel he will extend his contract. However, if he doesn't, like where does that leave us?
How do you find yourself in terms of, you said, okay, he's not fully committed, get rid of it, and if you choose to sign, say January, we're top of the table, and he says, no, I'm committing my future to United. Are you happy with that decision, or do you think do you still look back and think what? But it's kind of, but he's not making his decision now based off the club. He's waiting to see, okay, if we're going to be successful, he should be making that decision now. And
exactly.
Now.
Exactly, I agree. But again, in Jan, I think if he's not willing to extend his contract now, I don't think like he will extend his contract in Jan. I think a player like having that authority to see how the club is going in his last season, I don't feel that's right on the club's part, because obviously, look, it is a business, and in terms of our net spend, now I don't like using that word net spend. However, our net spend has been really, really bad over the last few years. So if you are getting that 50 million, you could reinvest in a central defensive midfielder, and that's what a proper football club would do, and that's what I'm hoping. And again, I feel we bought a replacement in Van de Beek for Pogba last year, so that's my opinion as well.
Look, on Van de Beek, he's one player who, if the worst case scenario, in my opinion, came in that was Paul Pogba leaving, which I don't think will happen now. I think Donny van de Beek was bought last season with the vision of Paul Pogba leaving. Paul Pogba ended up staying due to a host of reasons, especially COVID, and I thought that was almost why Van de Beek couldn't get in the team, because there was Paul Pogba was there or Bruno Fernandes was there. The idea was to have one of them not there, and Donny van de Beek would have taken that role, which just never quite got going. But on him, we'll move on to tonight, because by the time you're watching this, the game might have already happened. But if you are watching live, kickoff is in just over 3 hours' time. We'll move on to the Everton game. And if you are in the comments, please make sure you do like the video and tell us who you think in the Everton or this game coming up tonight, who you want to see play, like who needs 45 minutes, 60 minutes in regards to preparation to maybe start the Leeds game. So I'll just go to you boys quickly. In regards to Donny van de Beek, do you think this is almost whoever starts this game against Everton tonight, it's pretty much a dress rehearsal, and is it sort of shows who Solskjaer's thinking for the Leeds match?
Yeah, I would say so, Tom, especially with fitness and with obviously with the high pressing that Leeds bring. I would expect the players who start today would be the first choice next weekend as well. So, yeah, quite looking forward to the first 11, to be honest.
Okay, so we both agree that we think whoever is starting is a very good shout of starting against Leeds. But who do you think is going
Yeah.
to start? Well, let's just throw a few names out there. Donny van der Beek, do you think he is one that,
Uh,
based on pre-season,
I,
we had that 45 minutes against Brentford or
yeah,
second half against
but
Brentford?
yeah, but I think as a number 10, I would expect Jesse Lingard to start. Just goes with probably he's in the market. I think it's not the right way to put it, but he is in the market. So probably I expect Jesse to start, and then Donny coming in probably in the 60th minute.
Well, just on Lingard, before we move on to sort of more specifics around the Everton game and Leeds game, Jesse Lingard, is he a Manchester United player this year? Because I think he's definitely got to start the season. I can very well see him starting against Leeds. I think that'll happen. But the latest on him, because with Paul Pogba, this news has died down to PSG now that Messi's gone there.
Right.
Now that Jesse Lingard is sort of back and sort of playing quite well in pre-season and in and around the squad, there's no more talk about him going to West Ham. All the reports suggest Solskjaer is very happy and Lingard is very
Yeah.
happy. And look, that's fair
Yeah.
play to Lingard if he's happy, and that's great. And if he's a happy player, he's going to play well. So that can only benefit United. But 6 months ago, we were thinking he's absolutely done at United. Where now we're talking about him likely starting against Leeds.
Tom, I think you might disagree with me here, but I feel he's not. He shouldn't be nowhere close to the first 11 for Man United. Obviously, he's come through the academy. That's great, good on him. But just with the number of players we have in that position, and I think he brings value in the market. Paul Pogba are two players who, if they were in the market today, we would be close to getting 60 to 65 million, and we would be able to invest in probably a right back, which I think is needed, and a central defensive midfielder. So we, like with Lingard, with Bruno, with Donny van der Beek, and with Anders Pereira, we have 4 players who can play as number 10. And that's way too much. Again, it's more about why is United finding hard to sell?
Well, look, I would agree, but then, yeah, long term, I don't see future for Jesse Lingard. We need better. However, take away his history, take away that he's a Man United player, take away that he's come through the youth system. You mentioned there in regards to value, just say he's a West Ham player, and we saw that last 6 months at West Ham. Are we looking at a West Ham midfielder go, we could take him, he's a good English player, and then we're suddenly seeing that value. If we want to buy Jesse Lingard for £50 million, we're talking about a great player. But because we've seen, and the evidence, you do have to go by the evidence he's given us.
That's right.
But we're sort of clouded by that judgment. But if he's he's not a new sign-in, but it does cloud your judgment, because if we're just taking that player from West Ham, we're taking a great player. But we're judging sort of based on the last 4 or 5 seasons, not the form.
I feel there are some players, Tom, who, and I think Ole said this in his interview yesterday. There are some players who do great at mid-table clubs, and I feel Jesse is one of them. Like, Jesse is someone who enjoys playing without pressure. Like, if he's enjoying himself, he does play really well. Like, if you look at Smalling, for example, I think probably this time last year you would have this conversation with Chris Smalling. Like, he's been great in the Italian league, but again, it's just that freedom to play and that pressure that doesn't come with playing with United. And yeah. I feel, I wouldn't.
Is there anyone besides, obviously, we will know in a few hours' time, but all the reports and Solskjaer's words say Jadon Sancho, Edison Cavani won't be available for this match, and obviously Rafael Varane as well. He's not even technically a United player yet. So Sancho and Varane look maybe ready for the bench against Leeds. I assume Cavani potentially in the same bracket. I don't know. I saw a video of Cavani training in the gym somewhere. I'm not sure if he has a quarantine issue when he gets back. I'm not sure of that situation.
I don't think he's in UK. Yeah.
Yes. So Cavani might even be longer. Who knows how he's come back? Fred was in the final. Cavani wasn't. I'm not sure how that's worked. A little bit of a Pogba situation. But is there anyone else who sort of you want to see tonight? Maybe an outside the box chance to start tonight and against Leeds? We've discussed in the last couple of episodes.
Dan James, to be honest. Yeah, but he's injured, unfortunately.
Is he, Anthony Elanga? Is he?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Oh,
he's injured.
Well, on Dan James, because this one does split opinion, divides opinion on, especially when you throw up the name of Leeds in terms of his history with Leeds, of almost signing for them, but also his performance last season against Leeds. Some fans will throw their toys out of the pram if they saw their name on if they saw Dan James' name on the team sheet. How would you react this time next week if Dan James is lining up at right wing against Leeds?
I expect him to, just because. Actually, no, I don't expect him to. I would say Mason Greenwood starts at right wing, and then probably Anthony Martial through the middle. But look, mate, like Dan James again, I don't feel he is the type of player that we need. I don't think he's good enough for United. Obviously, there are games where we need him, especially if we're leading 2-0 or if you're playing on the counter, which we have over the last couple of years. But again, like, he's one player that brings value in the market. That's how.
Oh yeah,
that's how I would
no,
put it.
he's definitely in that category for me. And if I was,
Yeah.
again, I flip flop on this one all the time, but at the moment, I'd be selling Dan James before I'd be selling Jesse Lingard, and I know we're very well stocked in that area where Jesse Lingard is,
Yep.
and we're not sort of too well stocked on the right wing at the moment. It's only Sancho and Dan James. But look, to be fair, and it's not his best position. I'll be playing Juan Mata maybe on the right hand side over Dan James, especially depending on the game. Maybe not against Leeds, but sort of over 38 games, I definitely would. Is there anyone else? So probably the name you mentioned, just maybe we'll finish on him. Both for the Everton game, he's back in training, but also with a look, you mentioned his name in regards to starting against Leeds, Anthony Martial, which we did a podcast on a couple of days ago. He hasn't played yet, but he's obviously back in training. Well, Larry McCohost will obviously be glad to hear that you feel it's his season. I think Larry predicted 25 goals.
I genuinely feel, Tom, this is like it's either make or break for him. Let's put it that way. I think this season is something that we will see Anthony Martial back to his best. Obviously, with injuries, which was hampered last year, and again with Rashford out as well. So I think he needs to step up as a senior player.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, I assume, Dean Henderson's not training, so David De Gea should come back into this. So it would be good. I assume Harry Maguire will play against Everton. I'm not sure of the centre-back partnership. Obviously, Eric Bailly's not there. Rafael Varane's not there. So you'd assume.
I think Axel Victor Lindelof. I think Axel is going on loan to Aston Villa as well.
Yeah, they're looking. Well, the interesting bit where Twinsaby to Villa looks like that, it's almost done. But it also part of that is obviously a new contract extension at United, which that's a debate for another day in regards to that bit of business, which I'm happy with. But it's interesting where we're given a new contract, but say there's no future for you at the moment, and we've just signed potentially one of the world's best central defenders. So it'll be interesting. To hear Twinsaby's thoughts about that. Not that we're going to get him on the podcast, but it would be good to get his thoughts. Anything else before this Everton match springs to mind that you want to discuss before we wrap up?
Not really. I think I would say quite looking forward to Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood
when you
this
talk
season.
About the Martial season, for me, I really think him not going away with the Euros for England, I really think Mason Greenwood now, we're talking about Jadon Sancho, we're talking about generational things in Mbappe and Haaland. I truly think, and it's not a United bias, I just think the way he scores, the ability to score goals, I truly think Mason Greenwood should be in that bracket of sort of players we talk about.
I agree, Tom. I agree. And I think with the services that he will get with Bruno, Pogba, and probably Donny as well, I think should be good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, as I said, it is a Saturday night in lockdown in Sydney, so it's good to get Moyes back on and sort of have a chat about United and sort of break up the boredom of the day of being inside the whole time. But it's only a couple of hours till United kick off, so it's obviously watching this after the game. You obviously know the result, and we've sort of mentioned all the players who probably haven't played. But hopefully you did enjoy this. If you did, please leave a like on the video, and if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. Make sure. Actually, on our podcast app as well, when Larry and I both started this, we thought, we're going to YouTube. We don't know what will happen with the podcast sort of thing. But since we've gone to YouTube, our listens on our podcast, the audio version only, have actually gone up. So thank you, everyone, for supporting both on YouTube, but also in your podcast app. Just search United Podcast, whether SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, etc. A lot of our longer episodes we'll put up as audio-only versions so you can sort of enjoy on your morning walk or your evening walk. But until then, Moyes, thank you for having a chat with us, man.
Thank you, Tom, for having me, and have a good night. And any predictions for tonight?
Oh God, I haven't really looked at Everton's pre-season. I don't even know who plays for Everton at the moment. Actually, a good question for Everton. Who on earth is the manager? Is Ancelotti's? Ancelotti's back around.
Ancelotti's Real Madrid.
So who's the manager?
Guess. We'll take a guess. He was an ex-Scouser.
I'm trying to think. I've had a memory blank.
He won the Champions League for them.
Oh, Rafa Benitez, of course. Yes.
There you go.
He's probably the favourite to be sacked, Rafa Benitez, I forgot. So it will be interesting to see that.
It would be interesting.
In terms of prediction, Oh, God,
I
who
would say
knows how
high
to football
scoring.
go.
Yeah, I would
Well,
say high
Rob's here.
scoring.
Robert's throwing Benitez. He's on the ball. He knows exactly.
Yep.
So thank you, Rob. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Anyway,
in pre-season, you just want minutes and you just want goal, like exciting football.
absolutely.
Even if they come at the other
Yes.
end, that means our defense is
Yeah, it
working.
doesn't
But
matter.
you just
That's
need
right.
goals. So hopefully something
Yeah.
exciting. But obviously United on the winning end. So if you did like the video, please
Yep.
leave a like and make sure you subscribed. And we'll get you on again
Thanks for
soon,
having
Moise. Good to have a chat.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, mate.